What if I told you there's a simple food, affordable, overlooked, and available in nearly every grocery store, that contains more high-quality protein per serving than an egg and could potentially help you combat one of the most common but least talked about consequences of aging: muscle loss? That food isn't some new powdered supplement or fancy imported ingredient. It's cottage cheese, and the science behind it might just surprise you. Let's get one thing straight. The slow breakdown of muscle, something called sarcopenia, doesn't begin when you're in your 60s or 70s. It starts in your 30s, quietly, gradually. Year after year, your lean mass diminishes. And it's not just a vanity issue. It's a foundational part of your health. Because the loss of muscle doesn't just make you weaker. It alters your metabolism, increases inflammation, slows cognitive processing, and puts you at greater risk for chronic diseases like diabetes and dementia. You might assume that if you're eating clean, working out, and sleeping well, you're protected. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're not getting the right kind of protein, in the right amount, at the right time, your body may still break down more muscle than it builds. It's not just about effort, it's about strategy. This is where science gives us a gift. One that doesn't come in a tub or cost a fortune. Gram for gram, cottage cheese contains more leucine-rich protein than eggs. Leucine is an amino acid, but not just any amino acid. It's the trigger. It's the one that activates a key metabolic switch in your body, called mTOR, or mechanistic target of rapamycin. This switch tells your body, it's time to grow muscle, it's time to repair, it's time to get stronger. So why isn't everyone talking about cottage cheese? Maybe it's because we've been conditioned to think of it as old-fashioned, or maybe we associate it with dieting fads of the past. But let's focus on what matters. It's biology. Cottage cheese is rich in casein protein, a slow-digesting type of protein that releases amino acids gradually into your bloodstream over 6 to 8 hours. That's critical, especially while you sleep. When your body isn't being fed, it looks for energy elsewhere. If you don't have amino acids circulating, it starts breaking down your own muscle tissue to get what it needs. That means even if you had a great workout earlier in the day, your gains could be undone overnight unless you fuel properly before bed. And this isn't just theoretical. A 2012 study published in the journal Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise showed that consuming 40 grams of casein protein before sleep resulted in significantly greater overnight muscle protein synthesis. A more recent 2019 paper in Nutrients confirmed that pre-sleep protein intake improves strength and lean muscle gains, particularly in older adults. The timing matters as much as the amount. 1/2 cup of low-fat cottage cheese provides around 14 grams of high-quality protein, more than 2 eggs. But the type of protein is where it really shines. Because casein digests slowly, it keeps amino acids trickling into your bloodstream, almost like a time-release capsule. Think of it as an IV drip of recovery fuel while you sleep. Compare that to eggs, which digest quickly. They're fantastic for post-workout recovery when you want a fast protein spike, but they're less effective for overnight maintenance. You wouldn't water a plant all at once and expect it to survive for 12 hours. Muscles work the same way. They need steady nourishment, especially when you're fasting. Now here's how to apply this in your life. Try the pre-sleep muscle protocol. About 30 to 60 minutes before bed, eat 1/2 to 1 full cup of low-fat cottage cheese. You can add cinnamon, a few crushed walnuts, or a teaspoon of honey for flavor and added nutrients. If you've trained that day, especially strength training, it becomes even more powerful. Why? Because resistance training sensitizes your muscle cells to protein, and providing a slow-digesting source right before the long fasting window of sleep capitalizes on that heightened sensitivity. But what if you're lactose intolerant? No problem. Many brands now make lactose-free cottage cheese. And if dairy is completely off the table, a high-quality casein protein shake can be used as an alternative. The principle remains the same. Fuel your muscles overnight to protect what you've worked so hard to build. And this brings us to a broader point. Muscle preservation is not just about what you eat. It's about when and how. Eating cottage cheese before bed works not because it's trendy, but because it aligns perfectly with your body's natural rhythms of digestion, repair, and recovery. When you give your body what it needs, at the right moment, food stops being just fuel. It becomes medicine. It becomes your performance tool. Let's zoom deeper into what makes leucine the real star of this story. In the vast orchestra of amino acids that help your body function, leucine is the conductor for muscle growth. Without it, the show doesn't start. It's a branched-chain amino acid, often called a BCLA. But it plays a far bigger role than its cousins isoleucine and valine. When leucine levels in your bloodstream hit a certain threshold, typically around 2.5 to 3 grams in a single meal, it tells your muscles, start building. Without that trigger, it's like having all the construction materials in place, but no foreman to direct the job. And this is where cottage cheese shines. 1 cup of low-fat cottage cheese contains approximately 2.6 grams of leucine, right in the sweet spot for activating the mTOR pathway in most adults. This makes it not just a protein source, but a smart timing tool. Because even if you're getting enough total protein in a day, if you're not hitting that leucine threshold in your meals, your muscle-building machinery might stay dormant. Consider this. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition in 2006 found that leucine-rich meals increased muscle protein synthesis by up to 25% more than meals with the same amount of total protein, but lower leucine content. Another study in Clinical Nutrition in 2011 found that leucine supplementation alone, without any change in exercise, improved muscle strength and mass in older adults. That's the power of this one amino acid. So, let's make this actionable. Use what I call the leucine threshold protocol. At each meal, aim to get 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine. That could look like 1 full cup of cottage cheese, or it could be 5 ounces of chicken breast, or around 2.5 scoops of a quality whey protein. The key is consistency. Spread your intake across 3 to 4 meals a day. Not one huge protein meal at night, but an even distribution to keep triggering that mTOR switch throughout the day. Why is this timing so important? Because your body doesn't build muscle at a steady, constant rate. Instead, it goes through cycles of synthesis and breakdown. What you want is to tip the scales more frequently towards synthesis. That's what frequent, leucine-rich feedings help you achieve. Now here's where things get really interesting. Maintaining muscle isn't just about moving better or looking leaner. It's also about thinking sharper and feeling more emotionally resilient. There's a growing body of research showing a strong link between muscle mass and brain health. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. It helps regulate blood sugar, reduce systemic inflammation, and even modulate hormones. But what really connects it to your brain are myokines. These are signaling proteins released by your muscles during movement. One of them, called irisin, has been shown to stimulate something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. If that sounds complicated, think of it like this. BDNF is like Miracle-Gro for your brain. It helps new neurons grow, strengthens existing connections, and supports learning, memory, and mood regulation. So every time you preserve or build muscle, whether through strength training, walking, or even eating strategically, you're not just building your body, you're building your brain. In fact, low muscle mass has been associated with higher rates of depression and cognitive decline, particularly in older adults. A 2022 study published in Neurology tracked midlife muscle mass and found a strong correlation between greater muscle tissue and a lower risk of dementia later in life. Even when accounting for lifestyle, cardiovascular health, and genetics, muscle mass still stood out as a predictor of brain resilience. That means muscle is more than movement. It's memory, motivation, and mood. Here's a mindset shift worth making. Start thinking of your muscle tissue as an organ, not just in a functional sense, but in a hormonal and neurological sense. When you build and protect muscle, you're not just staying strong, you're staying sharp. And when you allow it to fade through inactivity or undernourishment, you're not just losing strength, you're losing metabolic and cognitive power. This gives us even more reason to be strategic about what and when we eat. So back to protein timing. The average person eats most of their daily protein at dinner, maybe a little at lunch, and almost none at breakfast. But studies are showing that this uneven distribution leads to poorer muscle protein synthesis overall, even when the total daily protein intake is the same. A 2020 review in the Journal of Nutrition concluded that evenly spreading protein across 3 or more meals leads to significantly better muscle maintenance than front or back loading it. And this makes sense. Your body is most sensitive to anabolic stimuli, like protein, within a few hours of waking, post-exercise, and during sleep. Miss those windows, and you miss major opportunities for growth and repair. That's why I recommend the 3 times protein protocol. It's simple. Eat 20 to 40 grams of high-quality protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Then cap off your day with a pre-sleep protein serving, either 30 grams of casein powder or 1 cup of cottage cheese. This gives your body 4 distinct windows to build muscle, maintain tissue, and stay in an anabolic state. If you train in the evening, that bedtime protein becomes even more important. After resistance training, your muscles are primed to absorb amino acids. Combine that post-workout sensitivity with slow-digesting casein, and you're giving your body the perfect environment to rebuild stronger during sleep. And let's not overlook another benefit: appetite regulation. Slow proteins like casein promote satiety. They help you feel full longer and reduce those nighttime cravings for sugar or ultra-processed snacks. That means you can stay in a calorie deficit for fat loss without losing muscle. It's a win-win. Support lean mass, suppress cravings, and wake up stronger. So to recap, not all protein is created equal. Not in its amino acid profile, not in how it digests, not in how it fuels muscle recovery, and certainly not in how it supports your brain. Fast proteins like whey and eggs are fantastic for quick recovery, especially post-exercise. Slow proteins like casein from cottage cheese are essential for long recovery windows, overnight, during workdays, or when fasting. And the combination of strategic intake, matching the right type of protein to the right time of day, can dramatically shift how you age. Your strength, your clarity, your confidence, all of it. So far, we've uncovered that cottage cheese, rich in slow-digesting casein and the key amino acid leucine, is one of the most effective and accessible tools to fight age-related muscle loss. It fuels muscle protein synthesis overnight and helps you reach the leucine threshold required to trigger mTOR, the switch that tells your body to grow and repair muscle. And when eaten strategically, especially before bed, it protects both your physical strength and cognitive resilience. Let's now explore how your internal clock, your circadian rhythm, plays a hidden but powerful role in muscle preservation. You might think your body operates the same way around the clock, but that's not the case. Your metabolism, hormone levels, and even how well your body uses nutrients fluctuate based on the time of day. This 24-hour cycle, known as your circadian rhythm, doesn't just govern sleep. It also regulates muscle protein synthesis, digestion, and your body's response to food. Here's the critical insight. Muscle building isn't just about what or how much you eat. It's about when you eat it. That means if you're eating most of your protein at dinner, like many people do, you could be missing the windows when your body is most receptive to growth. A 2020 review, published in the Journal of Nutrition, emphasized that consuming protein evenly throughout the day leads to superior muscle growth and maintenance, compared to concentrating it at night. When protein intake is skewed toward just one meal, your body's capacity to synthesize new muscle tissue is underutilized in the other 2/3 of the day. Think of it like this. If you water a plant once a day with a flood of water, some of it gets absorbed, but much is wasted. Watering it steadily throughout the day provides consistent nourishment. Your muscles are no different. Spread protein intake across multiple meals, and you're optimizing how your body uses it. Now, let's pair this with what we know about sleep. When you sleep, your body is not idle. It's doing vital repair work. Growth hormone surges. Cellular repair ramps up. Brain tissue clears out metabolic waste. Your muscles go through recovery and rebuilding, but only if the materials are available. And that's where slow-digesting protein plays a starring role again. A study published in Frontiers in Nutrition in 2015 found that consuming protein before sleep increased overnight muscle protein synthesis by 22%, especially in older adults who trained regularly. Another study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that pre-sleep casein protein intake helped participants build more lean mass over 12 weeks, even when total daily protein was identical to the control group. This tells us something vital. It's not just about total daily intake, it's about timing, type, and tempo. Here's a tool you can use right now: the 3x protein distribution protocol. Meal 1, breakfast. 25 to 35 grams of protein within 60 minutes of waking. Meal 2, lunch. 25 to 35 grams of protein, including a leucine-rich source. Meal 3, dinner. 25 to 40 grams of protein, ideally post-training. Pre-sleep feeding. 1 cup of cottage cheese or 30 grams of casein powder, 30 to 60 minutes before sleep. The idea is to hit that leucine threshold multiple times per day, while aligning your intake with your body's natural anabolic windows. This protocol mimics the body's biological rhythm: fuel when your cells are most receptive, recover while you sleep, and repeat the cycle daily. Now, let's talk about behavior and mindset. Most people don't eat this way because they've been conditioned to think in terms of calories, not signals. But your biology doesn't count calories. It responds to stimuli, like amino acid levels, training stress, and circadian cues. So rather than asking, "Did I eat enough protein today?" start asking, "Did I eat the right kind of protein, in the right dose, at the right time?" It's a subtle shift, but a powerful one. This perspective transforms nutrition from reactive to proactive, from eating randomly to eating with intention. And here's a bonus. Aligning protein timing doesn't just help build muscle. It also balances blood sugar, stabilizes mood, and reduces cravings. This is particularly important for older adults, who often struggle with energy dips and brain fog. Protein-rich meals spaced across the day have been shown to regulate dopamine production, leading to better mental focus and reduced emotional volatility. Let's pause and bring this together with an analogy. Imagine your body is like a construction site. The protein you eat provides the building materials, but those materials are only useful if 1. They arrive at the right time. 2. There's someone directing the construction, leucine/mTOR. 3. The site is primed for work, post-training or while sleeping. Eating all your protein at night is like dumping all the bricks on the site after the builders have gone home. Some might get used the next day, but most of the opportunity is lost. Instead, deliver the materials in phases when the builders are ready, and your structure, your muscle, gets reinforced day by day. That's the system you're building with strategic protein timing. It's simple biology, powered by consistency. So, to summarize this segment before we move on, checkmark spread protein across 3 to 4 meals per day. Hit 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine at each meal. Prioritize slow-digesting protein before bed. Cottage cheese or casein powder. Time meals around workouts and sleep to align with muscle protein synthesis peaks. Think in terms of signaling, not just totals. Leucine flips the growth switch. This small shift in how you view your meals can completely change the outcome of your training, your recovery, and how you age. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter, with the biology you already have. So far, we've explored the power of cottage cheese as a leucine-rich, slow-digesting protein that supports overnight muscle recovery. We've covered how muscle protein synthesis is influenced by timing, circadian rhythms, and the need for evenly spaced protein intake throughout the day. You've learned that muscle is more than movement. It's a powerful biological organ that communicates with your brain and protects your long-term health. Now, let's talk about something even deeper: how preserving muscle can quite literally save your brain. You've likely heard the phrase, "muscle is your longevity engine." But it's more accurate to say muscle is also your brain's insurance policy. That's not a metaphor. It's neuroscience. Muscle tissue doesn't just help you move or stay balanced. It actively sends biochemical signals to your brain, influencing your mood, your memory, and even how you respond to stress. One of the key messengers in this process is a group of signaling molecules known as myokines. These molecules are released into your bloodstream when your muscles contract through walking, resistance training, or even isometric tension. One of the most powerful myokines is called irisin. Irisin crosses the blood-brain barrier and stimulates the production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF is like miracle grow for your brain cells. It promotes the growth of new neurons, strengthens connections between existing ones, and plays a key role in mood regulation, emotional stability, and memory consolidation. The more BDNF you produce, the sharper and more resilient your brain becomes. This connection has been proven in multiple studies. A landmark paper in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolisms found that low muscle mass in older adults was strongly associated with higher rates of depressive symptoms, even when physical activity levels were controlled. In other words, it's not just movement that matters. It's muscle mass itself, acting as a protective buffer. Another recent study in Neurology, 2022, found that higher midlife muscle mass predicted a significantly lower risk of developing dementia later in life. What's striking is that this association held even after adjusting for cardiovascular risk, diet, and lifestyle factors. That means your muscle mass is one of the strongest predictors of your future cognitive health. This brings us to a simple but powerful principle. Protect your muscle mass like you protect your brain, because it is your brain. When you preserve lean muscle through strategic eating and movement, you're not just getting stronger. You're literally building the biological foundation for better thinking, sharper focus, and greater emotional resilience. This is especially critical as you age. As your brain becomes more sensitive to inflammation, oxidative stress, and blood sugar imbalances, muscle becomes your first line of defense. Let's unpack why. First, muscle improves insulin sensitivity. It acts like a sponge for glucose, drawing sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells where it's used for energy. The more lean muscle you have, the better your blood sugar regulation. This helps prevent the crashes and spikes that can lead to brain fog, fatigue, and mood swings. Second, muscle lowers systemic inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, is one of the most damaging forces in the aging brain. But resistance training and adequate protein intake, particularly with leucine-rich sources like cottage cheese, have been shown to reduce key markers of inflammation such as CRP and IL-6. Third, muscle supports hormone balance. When you engage your muscles through training and feed them with quality protein, you help regulate cortisol, your stress hormone, maintain testosterone and estrogen balance, and support neurotransmitter production, all of which directly impact how you think and feel. Now let's turn that knowledge into action. Here's a tool I call the muscle-brain circuit protocol. Eat leucine-rich meals 3 to 4 times per day. As we covered earlier, this provides constant fuel for muscle preservation and BDNF activation. Pre-sleep protein. Use cottage cheese or casein powder to support overnight recovery and brain detoxification. Strength train 2 to 4 times per week. You don't need to lift heavy. Bodyweight exercises like squats, push-ups, resistance bands, or light weights work. What matters is consistency and challenging your muscles. Walk daily. Aim for 7,000 to 10,000 steps per day. Walking boosts circulation, stimulates myokine release, and improves mood. Sleep 7 to 9 hours per night. Your brain clears out waste, repairs damage, and consolidates memory during deep sleep. Without enough of it, everything else suffers. Hydrate and recover. Dehydration impacts both muscle performance and cognitive function. Keep water intake steady throughout the day. If you've ever noticed how calm and mentally sharp you feel after a good workout, it's not just endorphins. It's a cascade of biochemical messages from your muscles to your brain, regulating your mood, attention, and stress resilience. When people talk about the mind-body connection, this is the real science behind it. And here's something else worth remembering. Most people don't lose muscle simply because they age. They lose it because they stop giving their body a reason and the resources to keep it. That means you don't have to accept physical or mental decline as your destiny. With strategic eating, intentional movement, and proper recovery, you can hold on to your strength and your clarity deep into your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Let's quickly highlight a few myths we've now debunked. Myth number 1, you can only build muscle with heavy lifting. Truth. Bodyweight exercises and resistance bands, paired with quality protein, can significantly improve lean mass at any age. Myth. Number 2. All proteins are equal. Truth. The type and timing of protein matter. Casein, like that in cottage cheese, digests slowly, offering unique overnight benefits. Myth. Number 3. Muscle doesn't affect brain health. Truth. Muscle communicates directly with the brain via myokines like irisin and boosts brain function through BDNF. So don't underestimate the power of your muscle tissue. It's not just there to lift groceries or climb stairs. It's an endocrine organ, a communication hub that helps regulate your entire biology, from blood sugar to brain chemistry. If you're serious about aging with strength, clarity, and confidence, then start treating your muscle like the asset it truly is.